What is up, my friends? You are very welcome along to this special video here on Anfield Agenda. This is the news that I've been waiting a long time to deliver, but I had to double and triple check to make sure that I could put my neck on the line to bring it to you. Our information this evening is that Liverpool have made the decision to part ways with Arne Slot, and that will be communicated in the near future. I don't have a time frame on when it's going to come out, but what I can tell you is our information comes from a top tier source, somebody who is a name well known throughout journalistic circles. Other than that, I can't give you any more on it because I don't want to get this person in trouble and I don't want to get this person in hot water in any way, shape or form. If you have skepticism about what I'm saying, there's no judgment for me whatsoever. That's absolutely normal. I'm very confident, as I have been on all the other things that I've put my neck on the line for, that this is bona fide. Now look, you're going to want to know what the future is going to hold, and we'll get to that in a minute. But firstly, let's talk about Mohamed Salah's post and how this day has evolved to get to this point. So Mohamed Salah earlier on put out a statement that read as follows: "I've witnessed this club go from doubters to believers and from doubters to champions. It took hard work and I always did everything I could to help the club get there. Nothing makes me prouder than that. Us crumbling to yet another defeat this season was painful and not what our fans deserve. I want to see Liverpool go back to being the heavy metal attacking team that opponents fear and back to being a team that wins trophies. That is the football I know how to play, so that is the identity that needs to be recovered and kept for good, as it cannot be negotiable. Everybody that joins this club should adapt to that. Winning some games here and there is not Liverpool and what Liverpool should be about. All teams win games. Liverpool will always be a club that means a great deal to me and my family. I want to see it succeed for long after I've moved on. As I've always said, qualifying for next season's Champions League is the bare minimum, and I will do everything I can to make that happen." Now that post has been liked by many Liverpool players. Some haven't liked it. The ones who have supported it or comment on the post so far: Szoboszlai, Robertson, Hugo Ekitike, Milos Kerkez, Curtis Jones, Jeremy Frimpong, Wataru Endo, Giovanni Leone and Harvey Elliott. But let's go back and look at what's said in that statement. And I think one sentence that jumps off the page to me is that he said that everybody that joins this club should adapt to that. And I don't think he just means the players. I think that's again a dig at Arne. And how the club finally came round to the realisation that it was time to go, I'm sure we'll find out in due course. But that realisation has been come to. And quite honestly, it's the right call. How could it not be? How could you go through a season with 19 defeats, 20 if you count the Community Shield, having scored only 5 goals in the first half of the last 21 games, having not beaten any team in the top half of the league away from home this season, having been beaten twice by United, 3 times by City, beaten by 3 goals or more in 3 consecutive games, being beaten 4-1 at home by PSV Eindhoven, being trounced on our own turf and looking unrecognisable from the team that we were 12 months ago. For me, ladies and gentlemen, this fall-off started towards the end of last season. I don't know what forced Arne to change the training methods and drop the intensity down, but ever since that, he hasn't been able to recover it and the team hasn't been the same. So this announcement will come in due course from the club. And if you want to wait for that before getting your hopes up or getting excited, no judgment from me whatsoever. But I'm very comfortable in the information we've had. And like I always say, I have no reason to lie to you and I will not hide. I will always be here to answer your questions. And I've tried to do that tonight in a 2-hour and 15-minute stream, going through and giving you as much as I can. Now, has there been names mentioned to me for a potential successor? Yes, but I don't say with any credibility the likelihood of who that's going to be. The name mentioned to me was Sebastian Hoeneß, but I'm not trying to sit here and say to you that he is categorically going to be the next Liverpool head coach. I don't know that. Dave Davis and Anfield Index done some great reporting on this back in March on communications with Sebastian Hoeneß's representatives and Liverpool keeping tabs on him. Julian Nagelsmann is another name that could be in contention, and Donny Areola. I don't have anything on that one personally, but what we do know is today Xabi Alonso agreed to become Chelsea's new head coach on a 4-year deal. And when I spoke to my source about this today, they said to me that the club just didn't think that Alonso's style of football was ultimately where we wanted to go. And if you look at Mohamed Salah's statement, about that high intensity gegenpressing in your face style, it probably isn't Alonso's brand of football. He is more of a disciple of kind of a Guardiola-esque style of play, whereas a Sebastian Hoeneß or Julian Nagelsmann would be more of a Jurgen Klopp type mould. But I'm not the person you should be looking to for information on these coaches. There are far better people out there to give you that. But let's hear what Steven Gerrard has had to say to TNT Sport about Liverpool last night and about Mo's statement. He said, "It hurt me watching Liverpool last night, and I don't normally say that. They got what they deserved. Villa were better all over the pitch. There was no fight, no desire, no patterns of play, no passion, and no connection." Also, speaking to TNT Football, he said, "The pressure's on the manager because it's been nowhere near good enough. That performance last night was terrible. It was awful. It was difficult to watch from start to finish." And he also said this about Mohamed Salah's post today on Instagram. "I think he's sending a message to outside that things in the Liverpool dressing room are not right. That identity's gone, and it's really hurting him to see this in front of his own eyes." So Steven Gerrard and those Liverpool players and Mohamed Salah have all drawn a line in the sand, and they've made it clear that this is not an acceptable brand of football at Liverpool Football Club, because it isn't. The club will communicate to the fan base the decision in their own time. Whether it's at the end of the season, whether it's before next weekend, I don't know. But what I do know is it's about time. And there's no hard feelings for me as a fan towards Arne. I'm just frustrated that it took this long for us to get to this conclusion, because it's been clear for a long time to many of us that he just wasn't going to be the guy. He did win us a league title and he will always deserve his respect for that. And for me, quite simply, there are no winners in this situation. This only comes about because of failures, and that's not great for a football club. Why they were so adamant that they were sticking with him and why they continue to brief people in the media, I don't know. That has been the frustration right throughout here, because we've always said there's an easy way to sort it out. If you believe in him, give him a contract. But you don't look around at other coaches, make some conversational topics with their agents and others and sound them out a bit and start to look at them unless you're having doubts. So you can lie as much as you want to the camera when you're sitting there in press conferences or when you're briefing your mates. That's expected of football clubs. They have to manage the situation. But I can say to you categorically that my information is one that I'm going to stand over, one that we believe is absolutely spot on, and ultimately I think the right decision. Now it's over to you guys, and when we get this communicated from the club, I'm sure we'll talk about it a little bit more. For now, I just want to say again a huge thank you to Mohamed Salah for having the courage of his convictions to stand up, to call out the lack of standards, which again we've all seen haven't been there. This isn't personal. Like I've said, there's no winners in this, but it is about what is right for Liverpool Football Club, and a change of direction with the coach is needed. I'm sure Arne will go on to do good things in the future, but his time at Liverpool unfortunately has come to an end, and has rightly come to an end. So that is it, my friends, from me for now. I will be back with you guys soon, and again, thank you all for your support, and I'll read your comments in the comment section as and when I can, but appreciate you. But do let me know your thoughts as well, and we'll talk soon. Bye bye.